Enzolytics, big news this morning. Enzolytics releases PR reporting its progress towards completion of clinical trials for its ITV1, that's the anti-HIV therapeutic, and moving towards that authorization under the European Medicines Agency. We've got a lot to dive into, but the first thing I want to do is roll back in time just a little bit, because on June 14th, we had a very similarly titled PR. And in this PR, this is when Enzolytics was talking about engaging, keyword difference here, engaging their partners, or later became their partners. But basically, this PR says the company has engaged the contract manufacturing company Danhson. The company has engaged the contract research organization Clinical Design. Now that has changed. The language in that has changed quite a bit here in the PR that came out today, where we see now suddenly we are not engaging. We are not engaging with them. We are actually contracted. Arrangements and agreements have been completed, and this is with Danhson and with Clinic Design. Pretty important stuff here, and let's you can take a look here on the Enzolytics. It now shows Clinic Design and Danhson as partners for the for Enzolytics, which is great progress here. You can go over to the Danhson website here. Danhson is going to produce a therapeutic, and that they say that's going to start in the next. That should be completed in the next few months. And then immediately it's going to roll into the clinicals, and the clinicals are going to be conducted by Clinic Design. Both of these companies are located in Bulgaria. I recently realized that Zabalov's actually Bulgarian, which explained a lot to me as to why the Bulgarian Connect is so important here. And these trials are going to be made to be compliant with the European medicines agencies by Pharmalex, and they're mentioned in both of the PRs, the one from June and the one that released today. There's a lot there. One thing that we see in both of these is continued discussion of IMPL, International Medical Partners Limited. It's a Bulgarian limited liability company. Enzolytics is 50% partners on this. I can find nothing about them online. Not a surprise. I certainly don't speak Bulgarian, but I did find the registry agency in Sofia, Bulgaria, where all the documentation is filed to register IMPL. And they have a website. Obviously, that website is in Bulgarian, which didn't do me a lot of good. I saw this English option here. Which did help, but the minute you change anything on here, it switches back to Bulgarian. So anyway, it's a little limited in what I can pull from it, but it is nice to have that confirmation. And IMPL, so Enzolytics is going to pay for the production with Danhson, but the IMPL partners are going to pay for the clinical trials. That's really great to hear. And the other thing that was in the PR was the fact that they talked about the audits, the financial audits. Now, Katropia talked about this in the 101 session that we had with James Hicks on YouTube, and he said that the audits are in progress. It just takes time. They keep handing them things to look at, so it's just one of those big mama jama jobs, and that's just how it's going to be. But in both of the PRs, they mention these and they say that they're being looked at. One key difference in the PR, a little bit of word change in the Harry Zabalov section. They talk about the he says, we are excited about the progress that we have made with the assistance of our IMBL partners. Contracting with Danhson, Clinic Design, and Pharmalex is integral to the success, blah, blah, blah. That word contracting was not in the June PR. Instead, it said engaging. So there has been some real progress being made with these companies, and that's really exciting. Now, I wanted to point out also, EU Medicines Agency has an excellent Twitter feed. So I follow it, and I used to get notifications. I don't know how that turned off. And I really recommend following them because they will put out meeting notes where they'll give updates on drugs. So this might be very valuable to us in about 3 months when these move into clinical trials. So the last thing I'm going to do is talk to you about the ENZC chart. You will see that yesterday we drew our wedge, downward wedge, which is a bullish reversal pattern. I get into that in a video the other day. This morning, people sold the news and it dropped below the wedge. So, you know, these technicals, these patterns have been proven to me to be more complicated than I thought. Doing things in the NASDAQ and the NYSE, it's very simple to draw patterns, very, very clear. Obviously, news and catalysts will change things technically, but it is holding largely to the pattern. We dropped outside of it, good buy opportunity there, and then rose up. We will see if this holds. And I did explain in a previous video that if the wedge were to play out, the apex is over on August 1st, and we would break out before that if the wedge plays out as it usually does. Anyway, that is my take on the PR from June and the PR from July and all the partnerships and changes that are involved between the two. Cheers, y'all.